everybody. Do I look like I've been bad again? What am I gonna do? It's just, look at this. I did it again. Now, it's a Phalaenopsis hybrid, no ID. That's all we get up here. All we get up here. Nowhere can you find anything else. But it was new in today when we went for groceries. First we went to the post office and I remembered my mask, yay, and we mailed the big Mr. Bull off to Judy Jones, and she should get it in about a week. So that's good. I sent her the tracking number, so hopefully everything goes good. So it was kind of nice to get that off, and it's a beautiful sunny day, and I just felt, Jack says, look at that, and he's looking at orchids, and then he goes around to the back where we found the other one, and look at, there's one here, do you want that one? Well, what can I say? Anyway, doesn't it make you feel good when all around us is in chaos? Yes, and it's nice to share it with you guys too. So I am showing exactly what happens. So it's still in its wrapper, and it has 1, 2, well, it has 1, 2, well, 3 branches. Well, it has a spike and 2 branches, but it's pretty nice. Some people could grow 4 branches, and I'm still working on that. Okay, so first we want to get this plastic off. Now, as soon as you get home, this is what you do. So, take the plastic off, that's gone, and take the little note. Hey, this orchid came from Burnaby. I grew up in Burnaby, went to all my schools in Burnaby. That's on the coast. And it's funny, I lived in Burnaby, but like everybody always says, oh, you must have went to Vancouver. But you know, I was a bit of a country hick, and Burnaby was a bit of a out of the way. But now it's like close, and I think I probably only went to half a dozen times to Vancouver all the time we lived there. Anyway, yeah. So when I get home, I have my orchid, and I know I'm going to be changing the media, and I wish we could get it in bark. I've seen, once I posted on the community, it was a Russian fellow one. I can't remember his YouTube channel, but he had this beautiful orchids things, and he repotted one the other day. He has dubbing in for English, but he repotted one. It came in bark. Now that's just not fair. But anyway, if they're coming in moss, and you can say the flowers are beautiful, I have to wait. No, no, no. I just repotted the last one I bought. Now, I have been doing this for years and years and years and years, and never lost more than maybe 1 or 2 buds and a couple flowers. Never do they drop them all, and I'm going right from all moss to all bark. So, there's a little bit of a gnat, but still it's mostly patience and not overwatering. So the first thing I do when I get home, oh, I have to say the reason I bought this one, let's see if I can get it closer. The reason I bought this one is because my very first orchid was this color. I still have it, it's years and years old, but it did have a bad spell when I had to cut that big long stem. I mean, it started to get so long because, as you know, they drop leaves, they get taller and taller, and the root gets longer and longer. And I'd cut that off. I'm still trying to grow. The piece I cut off had no leaves. It was just a piece of root, but it's still struggling. Oh God. So you know, I'm patient. It's little and I have room to be patient. So the first thing you want to do is I have to run some water in it. Now I think these ones were newly arrived today and they never had a lot. So I'm going to run some water and I'm going to stick this in my sink because otherwise we end up with all kinds of things going on down there. Now, here's the tricky part. Okay, now, here it comes. Okay. Okay, so of course it's your normal pot with only holes in the bottom. And it's not overly wet, look, but it is compacted. It is compacted. And what I do is I don't pick it all out. This top part is wet. Down here is pretty dry. And the roots are looking pretty good. But what I do, it's called drop potting. I let a little air in because I have to soak. Oh, look at, they took it out of a smaller pot and they wrapped a layer of moss around it. You can see where the other pot was. So this was just taken out of a smaller pot and then they just wrapped some moss around it to put it in the bigger pot. And you can see where it was. They've done that for shipping. They're pretty sneaky. It is way too thick. These roots are supposed to get air. They can no longer get air. This is a disaster waiting to happen if you don't repot it right away. Even if you're some person, now I don't recommend moss for beginners, but even if you're putting it in moss, this is not good. It's supposed to be fluffy. You cannot grow this orchid like this. So I went and got a pot from out in the shed, and this is one that had extra big holes, and I found it too big, so I cut a little piece of screen that I'm going to put there. Now all I want for now is some air to get in there while I soak the bark. And you know, this is what we have to do here because we just don't have a lot of stuff they have in bigger cities up here. And this is what we have to do. And then we have orchids. You know how many orchids I've got. I mean, 90-something% of them are from the grocery store, no ID. And they've all gone into bark, and they all flower every year for about 5 months, some of them 6. So all I'm going to do now is let some air in here. You can see I've kind of opened this up. I'm going to let some air in there. Yeah. Because if they can't breathe, that's not normal. It's not natural to how they are. Boy, Maggie's, you scratching making a bed or what? Okay, so all I'm going to do is drop pot it. I've loosened it up and I'm going to put it in this pot. I'll loosely put some moss around it just because I want to soak my bark for 3 days, and I want some air to be able to get to this. And I'm not changing the whole thing, but please, when you get your orchid home, if you're doing this, please do it as ASP. So this part can be done right away, and it's already better. So, it's so beautiful. And it can be beautiful for you for years and years, flowering 5 months a year and maybe more. So that is what we call drop potting, and that is going to hold it until I soak my bark. So here I have in here my bark. I used to use large bark. It's hard to get. So I have Rexius fir bark, medium. Well, yeah, so it's okay. But what happens is with the big bark, I had to water more. probably. Probably I'll water once a week, but in the summer you're watering for sure that second time like I did this summer. The smaller the bark, the more it will hold water. But the bark will just have water run right through it to start with. So that is why we soak it. And even soaking it, it takes time. So sometimes you hear, let it dry out before you pot it. Well, these roots are still pretty healthy. We don't have to let anything dry out. We are ready to soak the bark and put it in. And then once it's in, we'll talk about that when we do it. So I have my bark and I'm going to pour it in here. There we go. I took the pot out, and when you put water in here, what happens is the dust will settle. So then you won't have to worry about dust. So I'm just going to put some warm water in. You don't have to boil it. You might, I don't recommend boiling it. I know if you're trying to kill bugs, but I don't recommend it. I just rinse mine. You could kill other things. You could. This Rexius fir bark is heat treated. I've never had bugs come in this. If you're getting your bag and it's hasn't been somewhere where it got wet or it got holes in the bag and things can get into it, that's different. But this is all dry, keeps good. I'm happy with it. So you shake, you get some seaweed extract. This one is organic marine soil enhancer. Called all kinds of things, but this is, I think I got this on Amazon. So I'm going to put a teaspoon, and if it overflows my teaspoon, that's okay too. But shake it first. Ooh. You know what? I didn't even shake it enough. I can tell by looking at it. So shake it first. There. Shake it first. And then I'm going to put a good teaspoon in there. And then I have my cow mag. And I'm going to put a teaspoon in here too. There. Then I am going to put it out on the patio. I'm going to give it a stir. There, and I'm going to let it soak for 3 days. So I'm going to put it on the patio. It could be 4 days depending on what's going on around here. So today's Friday. So I'm going to let it soak all day Saturday, all day Sunday, and all day Monday. So it's going to be 3.5 days. So then I'll probably be doing a video when I do that. So this is also going to get weighted down with a pot, a saucer from an old pot or a plate, something that fits in there to keep the bark below the water. And it'll just go out in the warm sunshine, a beautiful day out there. And that is what I do as soon as I get home. So now I'm going to show you, because I got all my orchids out in the patio. They're staying out there to get, usually I do it a month later. Usually they've been out there all summer. But this year they weren't able to, so it's been so beautiful. It's cooling down. It's been in the low 40s outside, but this solarium here, it stays about 10 degrees warmer, and we're leaving the kitchen patio door and the bedroom door open at night and locking up the solarium door. And then it's keeping it about 10 degrees warmer. So this morning it was 58. It's been running about that. So that's okay because they're getting the warmth in the day. They're getting a 10 to 15 drop in temperature from their nighttime to their daytime. They're also getting lots of light out there. I want to show you how I have it set up. And Crumb, I'll be back with another video in 3 days or so. We got lots planned. Okay. Okay, so let's go out here. I did clean up quite a bit. Always something happening. So I got this set. We had lunch out here yesterday. It's so cozy in between the jungle. So the dendrobiums are here and everything is all laid out. I have the homemade fountain that I use the barbecue rocks, the lava rocks, because it holds moisture longer and creates more humidity. And things are liking it. They seem good. I have them all over the place. Even all of them, when I say, well, except the 2 babies. They're not out here. But everything else is. Even Maggie came out. This is where we had lunch. Maggie sat here in her special little spot. And we sat here and had nice lunch. All in between. I have a misting bowl set up back here. I like the slow mist from the misting bowl. And it's so useful for other things. It's so good for you too when there's dry air. I have one that I got at a garage sale for $1 here. Just a little mister. It's still the disc. It's still vibrating very good. So everything is doing good, but we were sitting here and we were looking at the roots in this pot. Look at this. And these are going down, down, down. Now last time it did this, it went in the bathtub and I ended up taking all these roots and loosening them. They don't like that. They do not like those. Look at the length on this one. They do not like those roots disturbed. And if you've just got bark, just shake the bark out and then put new bark in. Try not to disturb the roots because they're going to be happier because it did take a bit of a shock. But it's happy. It's firm now. And this one here, it has a few venturing out. But the size of this is the growing tip. So, and this one was just put in this year. And you can see the pot ends here, so it's not that huge of a pot. You can stop your pot wherever you want, but it likes the holes. It just likes the whole thing. It's like being on a tree or something. So that's what's happening here, and it's beautiful out here. And we'll take a look at the tomatoes, because remember I showed that tomato? Well, it's just not one that's like that. And you be a good girl, huh? If you can. Now, don't be surprised if she barks. I have to show you this. Let's go to the garden. I've been slowly pickling and canning, and so I got peppers. They will change color, but I got peppers growing all along here. There's some big ones down there. Can't see what you can see. Here I have cauliflower. I'm not going to let it stay to get too big because I don't want the bugs eating it, and they will. And here, this cabbage, I did ferment some. It's beautiful eating cabbage. It's nice and clean. I never had bugs on it. There's one there though. But when I cut it, they were very good. But I have to show you these. Brandywine organic tomatoes. Look at this. It's not just one that is big. There's lots. And then if you come down here, and down here, look at this. Oh, they're just, and they're so meaty. They're very nice. Look at this. No, I mean, some people might just pick one and say, wow. I'm doing beets. I have a recipe I'm going to do next for pickled beets and cabbage mix. So I'll use my cabbage and my beets. And the grapes are starting to turn purple. So everything's looking good. The sky is blue again. Oh boy. The clothes are hanging on the line. Okay, everybody, we'll see you shortly when we repot that into another pot. Bye for now.